My name is Jhanvi Patel. I am a Principal Solution Advisor here at SimpleFi, and I've actually been working with SAP Solutions for over 17 years now, coming from the consulting practice and then all the way up to being involved in pre-sale activity as well. I'm super grateful that you've taken the time today to join this educational webinar. I'll actually be introducing you to show you how we can do model building within SAP Analytics Cloud. And actually, as Corinne had mentioned, this is actually the first webinar of a 3-part series that we'll actually be doing in the future as well. So today, again, is going to be focused more on that model creation. And then our next kind of series is going to be focused on story creation, where we'll actually look at building out a story based on the model that we create today. And then we'll look into how to create calculations, things like data actions, set up allocations, and then also look into the value driver tree as well. So to quickly go over the agenda for today, I'll actually be giving you a quick introduction to who SimpleFi Solutions are, and then I'll be jumping into just a few slides around data models before jumping into the system where we'll actually build out a model that we'll use for those future webinars as mentioned. So at SimpleFi, we are actually a firm of financial and analytic experts focused on things like business process design, business content, and automation and implementation of SAP planning, analytic, and consolidation solutions. We are an award-winning go-to partner for SAP analytics and planning. Our goal is to be 100% referenceable, and as a boutique company, one of the things that's super important to us is ensuring that our customers are satisfied and successful when it comes to implementations, and actually also becoming trusted advisors to each of our customers throughout the implementation process. And of course, delivering solutions that drive value, of course, are easy to use, and then drive adoption across your organization as well. So our team is based throughout Canada and the US, with offices in Chicago and Montreal, and our customer base actually spans across major industries and also across geographical locations as well. So SimpleFi Business Services, they include things like business content development, process design, and QA. We also have experts available as a service and also manage implementations as well. In addition to SAP Analytics Cloud, our technology focus also includes SAP DataSphere, group reporting, and our team has really strong experience with BPC, BW, and HANA as well. So our prepackaged solutions are branded under our Planify platform and are configured based on industry-leading practices. What they do is they provide you with an all-in-one solution, which includes things like data models, predefined report books, live financial statements, and then also guided user experience dashboards for your teams to leverage. The prepackaged solutions, what they do is they drive value by optimizing and automating back office reporting and business processes, essentially increasing visibility into your financials so that you can actually build out more accurate forecasts. And then also what the solution allows you to do is it allows you to kind of build in what if scenarios as well. So you can do scenario planning based on your forecasts and budgets and things like that as well. Sorry, excuse me. We do understand that processes can differ by industries and that companies have specific requirements. But we also know from our experience of actually implementing solutions and SAC that there are several common planning and reporting features that are actually used across industries and companies. So what we actually did as an organization, we've invested 15,000 plus hours building out content based on leading practices, which can be leveraged as an out-of-the-box solution to be adopted, or it can actually be built as put into place as the starting point to actually then build on top of, and then based on your requirements, you're continuing to build on top of that platform instead. So essentially what that kind of gives you is instead of you having to build some of these dashboards and applications from scratch, we actually provide you with a really good starting point where we have prepackaged solutions that allow you to deploy, of course, in weeks, essentially showing accelerating project deployment time, and so that you can see that time to value much sooner as well. Within this slide, it just kind of highlights some of the areas that we do have prepackaged content for. So it really does span across a whole variety of FP&A processes, from sales and revenue to expense planning to HR planning, capital planning, and then we also have liquidity and then consolidations. You know, it's a vast portfolio that we have here at SimpleFi Solutions. So, you know, leveraging an FP&A solution that's built on the SAP platform provides businesses of all sizes with unmatched benefits. You know, SAP Analytics Cloud, with its powerful and scalable infrastructure, it enables like real-time data integration, advanced analytics, and then seamless connectivity with SAP backend systems, and then also non-SAP accounting systems as well. So this kind of ensures that when it comes to financial planning and analysis, you're actually always it's always based on the most accurate and up-to-date insights, of course, then driving smarter decision making and strategic growth within the organization. SAP's SAC is SAP's strategic all-in-one solution for analytics, planning, and predictive and reporting. SAC is the core component of the SAP BTP platform, and is actually designed from the ground up for simplicity and speed. It is actually built on top of the HANA platform as well, allowing for businesses to scale effortlessly. And then, of course, with the embedded generative AI and machine learning, the solution actually unlocks the full potential of your data, empowering you to with predictive insights and then intelligent automation as well, all within one platform. Okay, so let's jump into data models. So again, you know, today's focus will be around data preparation when it comes to data modeling within SAC. And then really my goal is today to give you an overview of the importance of data models and how they are used within SAC. And then essentially, as mentioned, this model will then be used during these other webinars that we'll be conducting in the future to actually then build up stories and financial dashboards as well. So before jumping into the system, I wanted just to take a few minutes to go over data modeling fundamentals, starting with what is a data model. So a data model, it refers to a structured representation of data within SAP Analytics Cloud, and it's actually designed to support data analysis, visualization, and reporting as well. So a model encompasses several key elements, such as dimensions and measures, which we'll review in just a moment, hierarchies to establish relationships, and then allows for embedded calculations that can transform or combine existing data, automatically aggregate, disaggregate data, and also calculate values based on certain conditions as well. So the data source for models can be set up to be acquired, which means data is imported and stored in SAC, and then any changes in the source system don't affect or impact the data that we have in SAC unless there is a refresh of the data, which essentially can be set up as an automated job over a certain period of time. And then also you have live sources as well. This is where where data is stored in that source system. It isn't copied into SAC, so any changes in the source data are available immediately, just as long as there are no structural changes needed to the tables or SQL views as well. So let's take a look at the types of models. So in SAC, you have the ability to create two types of models. You have an analytic model, which is a fully featured model that contains data. They are a flexible type of model and typically used to analyze data to look for trends and anomalies. These models can be used with live data connections to analyze your data within SAP Analytics Cloud. So then planning models are prepared and pre-configured to help you perform planning tasks such as forecasting to support and streamline your planning processes. So when working with these types of models and stories, planning users can use a variety of features to create, edit, and update planning templates, planning stories, in order to, again, build out those forecasts and budgets and plans accordingly. So both of these models can be created as an account-based model, where a single measure can be associated with multiple accounts, or a measure-based model, which is primarily used for reporting and analytics. So just continuing on here, so in an account-based model, values are stored in a single default measure and can be linked to multiple accounts, whereas a measure-based model allows you to create multiple measures that can be set up for specific units and aggregate data as well. These can be linked to an account, but these can also be set up with no account linked as well. So moving on to dimensions. So other elements of the SAC modeling include dimensions and measures. So dimensions usually represent non-numerical data such as product, cost center, employee, and then measures represent transactional or numerical data, for example, price, revenue, number of customers. Measures are different from dimensions, so you can add and configure multiple measures within within aggregation and units to fit your needs based on your requirements as well. So looking at hierarchies, so a hierarchy is used again to establish relationships within your data. Within stories, they allow you to drill down to a more granular level of detail, or they also allow you to set data, see data and plan data at more of a summarized level. So you're looking at more of a top-down level there. So there are two types of hierarchies that can be set up in SAC. Level-based, which organizes multiple dimensions or properties into a level, for example, a time hierarchy that has a top level of year, then quarter, then month, and then down to the day. And then you also have a parent-child hierarchy that allows you to set up a single dimension as a parent with a set of relationships to a child dimension. In this example, think of something similar to a company having multiple departments or a customer having multiple stores. So that's how you can set up those hierarchies in the system. Okay, so now that we've got a good overview of what a data model is and the elements related to creating a model, let's dive into the system where I'll actually be creating a planning model. We'll add some dimensions and measures and then import actuals. And then what we're actually going to do for the future webinars, we're actually going to set up an upload job for the forecast data. And we're going to prepare that so that in our next training webinar, we can actually use that to leverage within some of the financial reporting stories that we'll be covering. So give me just a moment while I switch over into the web UI. Perfect. So you should all now be seeing SAP Analytics Cloud homepage. So I'm actually going to go ahead and navigate over to the modeler builder, and I'm going to do that by going from the navigation bar and selecting the modeler here that we have in the navigation bar. So there are, again, different types of models that we can create. We've got those live data models or the models that are actually created in SAC. So we're going to go ahead and actually create a model from scratch. And again, there's a number of ways that you can start creating these models as well. You can start with a data set, or you can actually start with an empty model and then build that out. And that's actually what I'm going to go with today, just to kind of walk through that. And again, you know, based on different areas and different locations, like right now, we are actually going to be creating our data model within SAP Analytics Cloud, but with that inherent integration with SAP DataSphere, we could also create models in SAP DataSphere and have that seamless planning ability within SAP Analytics Cloud as well. So as you see, as the model, new model screen is opened, we actually have an area at the top for our measures. and then we can actually see our dimensions here, and then we actually have our data foundation. The data foundation is actually where we'll actually see our data as we get that uploaded into the model, and we can see some of the changes that might need to be made. And then just here on the right hand side, this is kind of like a panel that allows us to kind of make some edits and changes, and you'll see me kind of using that throughout the process as we go through this. So one of the first things that I want to do is I'm actually going to go into the model preference settings, and I'm actually going to make some updates here. So I'm going to actually change this description of the model. So I'm going to add training model, and then I'm going to put in just profit and loss. And that's just in the general settings. I'm actually going to navigate down to the account and privacy settings, and I'm going to turn on data audits. So this will allow us to track some of our changes and build up a data log as well. And then I'm going to also go into conversion, and I'm actually going to turn on currency conversion. And this will allow us to kind of switch currencies and switch reporting and planning templates into different currencies. And we'll show that as we get into building out the stories and then testing that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just add our P&L currency table. Select OK, perfect. So that's kind of just some general setup that we've done. We've added the model, we've activated the audit trail, and then we've set up the currency conversion as well. I'm going to go ahead and start to add some dimensions now. So one of the first dimensions that we're going to look at is the date dimension. So you see that there's already two dimensions that are defaulted. We have version and date. I'm actually just going to make some changes to date. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the edit dimension table. And again, you're going to see it's coming up with our table and our data that's already in there. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and make some changes within the properties here as well. I'll just update to add a description. And then I'm actually going to extend, right now it defaulted to just a year. So starting in 2025 and then finishing in 2026. But I actually want to extend and both in the past and in the future as well, this model. So I'm actually going to change the to date to 2023, and the from date, I'm going to change that so that we have it at 2029 as well, so that we can get a good representation of data. Another thing I just wanted to point out on this screen as well, so with granularity, what that's going to do is that's going to allow you to set that lowest level you want the date dimension to go down to. So for example, when you're doing resource planning, you may want to set the date dimension to day, so that when you are doing planning, you can actually build your plan and your stories with dates displayed down to the day level. Right now, I'm just going to keep it as month for this example. And then I did also want to just point out the default hierarchy. This allows you to actually set the default hierarchy structure. So right now we have that structure set to year, quarter, month, but you can actually break that down into different levels as well. So you have different options here based on what you can set the model up to. And of course, as we are building out stories, if we do need to change this or extend it accordingly, that can be done as well as we start building out stories and maintaining plans and things like that. So they're the kind of changes I wanted to do here. I'm just going to refresh this, and this is actually just going to build out our date dimension table based on the new information that we've set and the new dates. I'm going to go back, and what we're going to do now is we're actually going to add a new dimension, and we're going to add a dimension that's product. So I'm going to go ahead and add a PRD, and we're going to keep this as generic, and we're going to make sure everything else is unchecked, and we're just going to add that to our dimensions here. And then in addition to adding that, I'm just going to put in the description while we're here. And then I'm going to go into our product details as well, and we're going to maintain some additional information. So right now we are in the product detail screen. Again, we're looking at the right-hand panel here. I'm actually going to set up a property for volume. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create, and I'm going to add volume. And again, just put that description in, leave it as text, and hit create. And then I'm also going to set up a hierarchy as well. I'm going to set up here a parent-child hierarchy, and I'm just going to put H1 and H1. And you'll see how that comes into play in just a moment as we start to put in some of our data. So this is us having created our product dimension. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy and paste some of our data and attributes from an Excel file that I already have set up. So easily enough, if you already have master data set up in Excel, or again, this could be uploaded into the system accordingly as well. But just for the purposes of today, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that into our table here. And you're going to see that's brought in all of our product information. So we've already started to build out our product dimension just within a few clicks. So in addition to product, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm actually going to add a few more dimensions here. So we'll start off with adding organization. So I'll just go ahead and add that in. And for this one, we're actually going to change the type to organization, so that's reflected accordingly. Keep everything else as defaulted. And again, I'm going to jump into here so that I can make some changes as well. Again, I'll just add the description. And then we're going to actually add a organization, and then we're going to add the hierarchy to this one as well. And again, we're going to do a parent-child hierarchy here. So again, I'm just going to put in H1 for the purposes of the demo. And then that's our organization set up as well. And again, I'm just going to jump over here into my Excel sheet that I have data in already, just to be able to copy and paste that in accordingly as well. So I'm going to go back, and now having added our organization, there's just one more that I wanted to add, and that's going to be for our accounts. And again, wrong one, sorry. Delete that. We're actually adding a dimension, so it's down this bottom section. So I'm going to add chart of accounts, and we're actually again going to change the type to account. We're going to hit OK. And then again, we're just going to make some additional changes to the account by going into the details here again. So we'll just jump into here. And add an account. And what I'm going to do is I have my accounts again listed. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that in to build out our accounts within the system. Just fix that. I'll get that fixed in just a moment. One of the things I did want to point out here is within here, we actually have included formula-based accounts as well within the KPI section. So that we'll actually have our gross margin percent calculated and our operating margin percent calculated as well. So these are different calculations that we can actually build into the model. But then as we continue to run through these educational webinars, and when we get to the story build, you're actually going to see where we can actually create calculations directly in the story as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back for that. So what essentially we have done right now is we've actually created the three new dimensions, which was product, org. Oh, let me just go here to edit this. That's why it was coming up with that error, because I didn't have the right type. So let me go back into the accounts and just copy and paste that again. Perfect. Yeah, so as I was mentioning, what we've done now is we've actually created three new dimensions, which was the account, the product, and the organization. And what we want to do now is we're actually going to go ahead and add an additional version as well. So right now in the system, we only have actuals. We're going to go ahead and also include forecast here as well. So this is where we can actually include multiple versions that you may want to have as your starting point. So we can include budget here, we can have a version V1, it really depends on what your requirements are and how many you want to set up here. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and just update the description here as well, just to include that so it's a little bit more cleaner. So having updated our version, what I wanted to do next is now I wanted to actually add a measure. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the add at the top here, and it's going to open up, it's going to create a new measure for us. And I'm actually just going to do LOC here. And then I'm just going to set up some of the, you know what, first I'm going to switch to the calculated. So here we can actually see our calculated measures, our conversion measures, and then we also have our measures and account members as well. So I'm actually going to create a conversion member. So I'm going to go ahead and select the plus here. And we're going to do add currency conversion measure. And what we're going to do first is just name this USD, and then we'll put the description in as USD and the source. And actually what we want to do as well, we want to make some changes to the model so we can actually bring some additional conversion properties in. So I'm going to go to structure and properties, and I'm going to change this to account there. And we should see our we'll see that we have our fixed conversion with USD, and we've set that up accordingly as well. So I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to delete that one for a quick second. Conversion measure, currency. What I'll do is I will just skip past this bit for a second. I'll continue on, and then I'll bring up a model that we already have built up to show kind of where we've made those changes as well. So let me go ahead and just open up that model. Perfect. So this is where we already have that model created. And again, what we were just intending to do here was to add that conversion measure where we actually have the measure management here, where we have that to the source measure, and it's fixed for USD. And then I'm just going to go back into our model structure. And essentially what I'm going to do now is this is where we can go ahead and now upload our data. So depending on how you have data coming into the model, it could either be through an upload program, or we can actually set it up to automatically load from an external system as well. But in this example, I'm actually going to set it up so that it's actually imported, so we can import that from a file upload. So I already have that kind of set up here, but I'll run through it again. So again, as I mentioned, there's a number of different ways that you can connect systems to bring in that data. So I'm going to go ahead and upload from a file, and I'm actually going to find the file on my hard drive here. We're going to do actuals. We're going to do the import. And essentially what the system is doing now, it's just kind of making sure that that file is ready to import, and it will actually go through some of the import processes and mapping. So now that that file's in the system, I can actually start my import. So this is where we can actually do some mapping based on the data in the system as well, and we can actually make any changes needed accordingly as well. So again, this is showing us all of our data and our accounts as an overview. I'm going to go ahead and select next. And this all looks good. Everything seems to be mapped correctly. So we have version, account, date, everything mapped accordingly. And again, we have just some additional items here to show the mapping and essentially make any changes as needed. So as we're doing the review and preparing our data, if there were any mapping issues that we were facing, this is where we can make adjustments accordingly. So if I just X that out, if we could see we would have an account in the target system that isn't mapped to a source system, we can actually use the drag and drop feature just to kind of drag and drop and bring that in accordingly as well. So once you've done followed through to the mapping process, that's when you can actually run the import. And essentially you'll see how I have one run already where it's actually taken us through and it actually ran and uploaded the program accordingly. And then when you want to actually look at the data, we can actually go back to the model structure and we can actually see that data at the bottom here now as well. So as we've loaded all of that information, this is where now we can see some of that information coming in and see those metrics accordingly as well. So in addition to setting up the import, another thing that we wanted to do in order to prep for the upcoming webinars as well is to set up the upload job here. So essentially what we've done is, I'll just run through this again so I can just show you this. So I'll delete this. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up that upload job program. So again, I'm going to find my file and we're going to use forecast for this one. And we're going to go create. And again, it's going to give me that prompt. It's going to come up with the prompts. And we can set up our upload program, job. And again, as mentioned, when we start to create the stories, this is what we're going to use to actually then bring in our forecast. So we're actually just going to go ahead and hit next. And again, you know, we have the mapping ability again here, and we're going to go next again. And we're going to hit finish. And what this is going to do is this is actually going to create that upload job again, so that when we get into story creation, we're actually going to go ahead and create a data action that is actually going to allow us to then upload our forecast. So individual users have the ability to kind of upload their own forecasts as they want, or of course, as an organization, you can have this set up automatically as well. So that was kind of just going over the quick few steps that we needed to take in order to kind of build out our simple model here. Again, just to kind of review what we went over. So within the model, we created new dimensions, we set up hierarchies, we set up properties within the dimensions, we set up measures, and then we imported, included our data sets and imported our data, and then also created that upload program for us to use later on as well. So just jumping back into the deck. So that was kind of what I wanted to go over with regards to showcasing how to create the data models in the solution. Some additional resources that I just wanted to highlight, and these documents will be shared accordingly as well, but just some additional links here for you to use as you look into kind of doing this yourselves and hopefully in your own tenants. And then also, you know, as we're wrapping up here, one of the things that I did want to point out as well is those upcoming webinars. So again, we'll have that next webinar on May 1st, and it will be for the optimized design story build. And then we'll continue on with that with another webinar on June 12th, where we'll actually dive into creating, you know, those calculations, those data actions, allocation, and then also look into that